Yo, what's up everybody, welcome back to Screen Technicals. Today in this video we are going to create, you can say, this awesome landing page design, or you can say it is a template, single page website template which we have built using HTML, CSS and obviously JavaScript. It is completely responsive and you are going to enjoy this video. That is my guarantee, because this website really sucks. It really looks amazing. Its color combinations, its images, its box shadow effects really sucks. So let's first give you an overview of the website. So at this point you can see our brand name. If I click on this, it will just refresh the page. And by the way, let me tell you, if you don't know, I have hosted this website for free on Netlify. So I will be telling you that how can you deploy your websites, static websites, on Netlify. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel so that you are not going to miss any update. Right now you can find this amazing hover effects on the navigation links, right? And this is some text and this is one image. And you can find this you can say this button at this point. Right now just scroll down and you can see this, the header background changes, right? And this is using JavaScript obviously, and it's going to be pretty much 4 line or 5 line of JavaScript that is going to do this magic. Right now at this point you are going to find these cards and you can see the hover effects on these cards. That is really amazing. Right now just go down and at this point you are going to find, you can see this about us, you can see this section, and you can see it is pretty much very decent and clean looking. Right now just go down and you're going to find this pricing plans. You can see we have 3 different types of plans. That is, one is $0, one is 19.5, one is you can say 112.79, right? And you can see the hover effects on these buttons, right? This really looks very decent. Right now if you just move down, at this point you're going to find, you can say, this footer, amazing footer, and this you can say an input, or you can say a form at this point, and this beautiful, you can say, simple line of message, and you can see this heart symbol is actually an emoji. So I will be telling you how can you use this emoji in your websites. Right now we will be building this website in this tutorial, so make sure you are watching this video to the end so that you will understand each and everything that I will be making you understand. One more thing before, you can say, heading towards ahead, I want to tell you that this is responsive. So let me show you how it is responsive. Okay, so right click at this point, click on this inspect element, right? And you can see this thing. This is really, you can say, just click on this so that it will refresh the page and it will start from the top of the website. So you can find this thing at this point. So you can see this really you can see looks amazing. Now if you click on this, you're going to find, you can say, this you can see this navigation. So if I click on this, it just gets hidden right outside there. Right now scroll down, you're going to find, you can say, this cards, and everything is really responsive. You can see these things, and you can see this you can find this about section. It looks really beautiful. Right, I'm getting in love with this. Right, let's scroll down. You're going to find this pricing plans. You can see the cards, you can see everything, and you can see everything. You can say it looks really nice. Right, and you're going to find, you can say, this footer at this point. So it's pure responsive. If I click on, you can see this home button, it will just take me to this point. Right, and this is really an amazing and beautiful website page that I'm telling repeatedly obviously. So excuse me for that. Let's start building it just right now. So we will be using Visual Studio Code for, you can say, creating this website. Now if you don't know what is Visual Studio Code is, then let me tell you, it is you can say a text editor offered by Microsoft. You can code variety of programming languages such as Python, Java, C++, etc, etc, including HTML, CSS, SAS, JavaScript, Node.js. You can say you can just code you can say React, everything. It has its own built-in terminal with it, and it is a really an awesome, you can say, text editor offered by Microsoft, which is, you can say, open source, and it is available on Mac, Linux and Windows. So I have just provided the link in the description box. You can just go and download it from there. Right now let me show you the extensions that we will be using in our Visual Studio Code. So let me show you. If you click on this, you're going to find this live server extension, right? Click on this, search for live server, and you're going to find this live server, and just install this because we will be using this. Actually, whenever you are just working with any HTML file, it will just automatically refresh the page. You don't have to manually refresh the page. You can just save the project and it will be automatically refreshed on the web, on the browser. So that is the power of this live server. So make sure you are installing this, right? Let me show you my folder structure. You can say inside I have this folder, this great work folder, and inside this I have this image folder, right? And inside this images folder I have some images. You can download these images from the link in the description box, or that is from my GitHub, right? Now at this point I'm going to create two more folders. One is CSS, and inside this I'm going to create an index.css file. And at this point outside this folder I'm going to create another folder and naming it as JS, and inside this I'm going to create index.js, and I'm going to create outside this, that is an index.html file right here, index.html. Hit enter and you can see these things, right? Now I will just split the screen, right? Okay, so use this exclamation mark at this point. Hit enter and you're going to find this autocomplete feature given by the Emmet abbreviation, right? Okay, so let me just zoom the website so you can see this. So I hope you can see this right now. Let me link the font awesome. So I will be just linking the font awesome at this point. Now you're going to find this href, this link in the description box, so you can just copy and paste it from the description box, right? Okay, after this I'm going to link my CSS, so /it is CSS, and inside this I have my index.css. And then at this point I'm going to just wait a minute, okay, I'm going to link my JavaScript, not link, I'm going to use the script tag, right? And the source is going to be ./js/index.js. Save this much of thing. Now just open up the index.css file, and I'm going to paste this import statement at this point, so that I'm using the Google Fonts actually. So I will be providing you the link of this link in the description box, so that it will be easier for you to use this thing, right? Now I will be doing some the global CSS part at this point. That is, margin should be 0, right? The padding should be 0, box sizing, border box, and the font family that I'm going to use at this point is going to be Poppins, right? Save this much of thing. Now at this point I'm going to tag the anchor text, and this is going to be the text action is going to be none, and then the UL is going to be list style is going to be none, right? And then I'm going to select my body, I'm going to give it a background, and I'm going to give it a background of it's going to be hashtag F1F1F1, right? So, and then I'm going to use the HTML tag, giving it a scroll behavior of smooth, and then I'm going to use my that is the buttons. I'm going to give it border none, outline is going to be none, and then I want the background to be transparent. Save this much of thing, right? Now right click at this point, click on this open with live server. It will just open this HTML file on the live server. You can find this document, so change the document first. So where's the document? This is, change this to great work, right? Okay, now let's see the website. At this point you're going to find this header. So it is one section, and inside this section I have this is the one header, and I have this content part, and this header is divided into two parts. One is, you can say, this brand name, and this is another is, you can say, this links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, you can say, section, right? I'm going to give it a class of home, and inside this I'm going to create, you can say, a header, right? And inside this header I'm going to create, you can say, a div with a class of brand underscore name, and inside this I'm going to create, you can say, an anchor tag, and for right now this will be slash, so that you can refresh the page, and it's going to be great work, right? And after that I'm going to create an UL tag, okay, UL tag, and inside this I'm going to have the li a, just like this, okay. This is going to be hashtag home, and this is going to be home. Replicate this, and then at this point I'm going to change this to services, and this to also services, right? And you have to change this to about, this to also about, and then this to pricing, okay, and this to also pricing, and then this change this to contact, and this to also contact. Save this much of thing, go to the browser, and you're going to find these things, right? And after this UL tag I'm going to create, you can say, another div, and giving it, you can say, a class of hamburger underscore menu, and inside this you can say I'm going to use my font icon, you can say, that is the font awesome icons. So open up the browser, search for font awesome, hit enter. Now click on these icons, now at this point search for bars, hit enter, and you can say click on this, you can say this bar, click on this, just copy that thing, and then go to, you can say, your code editor, paste it at this point, save this much of thing, go to the browser, and you're going to find, you can say, this bar at this point, right? Okay, now let's, you can say just to select this, write the CSS part up for this. So it's going to be dot home. I'm going to give it a width of, you can say, okay, width of 100%, going to give it a height of 60 VH for right now. Okay, it is 70 VH, so make it a 70 VH, and then I'm going to give it a background, and the background color is going to be, you can say, I'm going to create, you can say, some of, you can say, a CSS variable roots. So you can say at this point I'm going to write here root dash dash primary dash, you can say, it is primary color is going to be so this is going to be the color for this, the value of this color is going to be this one, this you can say this purple one, right? And in the similar way we have two more colors, so I'm going to paste those colors at this point directly, because there's nothing rocket science in this part, right? So one is white color and another is orange color, right? Okay, now go down, so this is going to be dash dash primary, save this thing. Now you can find this thing, so right here dot home, so I'm going to you can say select all the anchor text inside this home and just change the color of this to secondary, save this much of thing. Now you can see this thing, right? And Also I'm going to, you can change the color, you can of that icon, copy that thing, paste this at this point. Okay, copy this line, paste this at this point, change this to I, and then right here color, this is going to be dash dash secondary, right? Save this much of thing, go to the browser, and you can see this thing, right? Okay, now I'm going to select the header, home, HEADER header, and I'm going to write here display to be flex, so it's going to be deflex, and I'm going to write here justify content is going to be space around, save this much of thing, right here align items, center, save this much of thing, go to the browser, I'm going to find this thing, and right here dot home, inside this I have, you can say this, you can say this div, select this div, dot paste this, right here display to be none, save this much of thing, right? Now go to the browser and you can see this thing. Now right here dot home, inside that home I have, you can say dot brand underscore is brand underscore name, and inside I have an anchor tag, so you can say I'm going, you can say to give it a font size of, let's say 30 pixels, save this much of thing, and you can see this thing, right? And I'm going to, yeah, this looks really nice, right? Now you can say I'm going to select the UL text, right here simply UL, inside the you can see inside this header we have this UL thing, so at this point I'm going to write right here there is UL, the display is going to be flex, right? So this is going to make, you can see this links one by one, right? Now select this thing, right here li, give them, you can say a margin, okay, it's going to be margin of from left and right it should be 0, and from top and bottom it should be 10 pixels. You can say from left and right it should be 10 pixels, and from top and bottom it should be 0 pixels, right? Save this much of thing, go to the browser and you can see this thing. So click on this, copy that line, and we have an anchor tag with your font size of 20 pixels, save this much of thing, and you can see this thing, and I'm going to write here text transform to be capitalized, and then I'm going to, you can say give it a position of relative, okay, it's going to be relative, save this much of thing. Now just select, you can say at this header point I'm going to give it a padding, let's say of 30 pixels from top, and from left and right also 30 pixels, save this much of thing, and you can see this thing. Now you can say I'm going to give you the padding to the anchor text, so padding is going to be 10 pixels from all around, and you can see this thing. This really looks real nice. Now we're going to create, you can say, those hover effects. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can say, select this anchor tag, right, and I'm going to use the pseudo selectors, that is after is going to be content is going to be blank, and then the position is going to be absolute, right, and then I'm going to give it a width of 100%, okay, width of 100%, height of, you can say, 2 pixels, then I'm going to give it a background of dash dash tertiary, right, and I'm going to give it a transition of all 0.3 seconds ease, right? Now save this much of thing, go to the browser, I'm going to find this thing. Now I'm going to define, you can say, the top position and the bottom position. So it should be bottom 0 and from left it should be 0. Save this much of thing and you can see this thing, right? Okay, now make this as 0, right? And just copy this line, paste this at this point, right here over, then right here after, and then I'm going to, you can say, give it a width of 100%. And again you can say I'm going to give the hover effect to my, you can say, anchor tag also. So right here hover is going to be color, is going to be, okay, is going to be dash dash tertiary. Save this much of thing. Now go to the browser, refresh it, and you can see this thing. This really looking amazing right now, right? So I hope so you're understanding the video, right? Now now we're going to, you can say, make it responsive first. So I'm going to use the media queries at this point first. So right here @media only screen and max dash width, okay, it's going to be width of 660 pixels, okay, it's going to be 660 pixels, come on, right, just like that. And I'm going to select, you can say, the home. Then inside this I am going to have my UL. I'm making it as display to be none, and then I'm going to have, you can say, right here dot home, right? And inside this I'm going to have the hamburger menu, right? It's going to be display block, right? Now save this much of thing, go to the browser, right click at this point, click on this inspect, and you're going to find this thing, right? Now what I'm going to do is, at this point, just select, you can say, this thing, copy this thing, and inside this I have, you can say, that icon. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give it a font size of 30 pixels, right? And just save this much of thing, and let's see. Yeah, this looks really nice. And then I'm going to, you can say, give it the cursor to be pointer. Save this much of thing, and then this looks really nice, right? So if I'll say, you see my original website, click on this and let's see. Okay, so it is just like this. So let's see. So make it as 25 pixels and save this much of thing. And where is that navigation links? So I'm going to reduce the size of the navigation links to 18 pixels. Save this much of thing, and let's see. Where is that? This one. And let's see this thing. Yeah, now this looks really nice, right? And I'm going to select, you can say, the home. So dot home. Instead I am going to select my header, right? I'm going to, you can say, reduce the padding of these things to let's say 20 pixels, and from top I need 30 pixels. Save this much of thing. Let's see. Yeah, now it looks really nice, right? Okay, now I'm going to create, you can say, below this header, or you can say below this section, I'm going to create, you can say, a nav, and then I'm going to create a UL, and then you can say, copy these things, paste it at this point. Okay, shift tab. Okay, now let's see. You can see this thing at this point. So I'm going to, you can say, give it, I can say, an ID of navbar. It's going to be navbar underscore mobile. So this much of thing, and yeah, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this thing, and at this point right here has navbar mobile, give it a position, let's give it a position of fixed width, let's say 240 pixels, height, this is height of 100 vh, give it a background of white, give it a box shadow of 0, 0, 10 pixels, 5 pixels. Okay, it's going to be 5 pixels, and just give a space at this point, just like that, and it's going to be RGBA 0, 0, 0.5, right? And save this much of thing. Now just you can say open this, and okay, one more thing we have to do is from top it should be 0, and from right it should be 0. Save this much of thing. Now just open up, you can see the page, and let's see, refresh it, and this, we're not getting that. Let's see, this is hashtag navbar mobile. Okay, we have just, you can say, mention this outside this, so paste this inside, you can see this ID, see this kind of thing, and you can see this thing at this point. So it should be white color, save this kind of thing, and let's see right now, and you can see this thing right now. I'm going to give it a padding of 30 pixels, like this. Okay, now I'm going to, you can say, add another icon at this point. So right here, div, giving it a class of close underscore nav, like that, right? Inside this I'm going to, you can say, have, you can say, another icon. So go to the font awesome, search for that is close, or let's say here cross, simply cross. Now you are going to find this cross X mark, click on this, copy this thing, open, you can see your VS Code. Now I'm going to paste it at this point, save this much of thing, select this close nav, and you can cite here hashtag navbar underscore mobile. Inside this you can say I have this thing, and then inside this I have, you can say, the icon, right? I'm going to give it, you can say, a font size of 30 pixels, and a padding of 10 pixels. Save this much of thing. Now let's see, you can see this thing. I'm going to, you can say, give it a margin left, so margin dash left of 180 pixels. Save this much of thing, go to the browser, and you can find this thing at this point. So let's reduce the value, so make it as 150 pixels, and let's see. Yeah, now it looks real nice. And I'm going to, you can say, increase the size, you can say, just going to style, you can say, these things. So copy this thing, at this point I'm going to paste the thing. Inside of this I'm going to have, you can say, the UL, and then I have the LI. I'm going to give it a margin of 10 pixels from top and bottom, and from left and side, left and right to 0. So you can see this thing, copy this line, okay, copy this and paste at this point. Inside this I have, you can say, the anchor text. I'm going to, you can say, give it, you can say, of font size of 25 pixels, and giving it a you can say, padding of 10 pixels from top and bottom, and from left and right 0. And then I'm going to give it a hover effect, So it's going to be over, and I'm going to change the color to dash dash tertiary. I'm going to give it a transition of all 0.3 seconds is. Copy this thing, paste this point also, save this much of thing, go to the browser and you can find this thing, and I'm going to give it a color of black, right? So right here color is going to be hashtag 000 black. Save this much of thing and give, you can see the semicolon at this point. Save this much of thing, go to the browser and you can see this thing, and if I click on this you can see the color is changing, right? Okay, now give it, you can see the transition to the navigation bar. So right here transition of all 0.4 seconds is. Now this is going to help us, you can say, to get the sliding effect, right? Okay, now make, you can say, the width 0. Now I will be using the JavaScript for this. So at this point I'm going to, you can say, right here const, I'm going to first get the navigation bar. So right here nav bar is going to be document, is going to be document dot query selector is going to be dot nav bar underscore mobile. Okay, just like this. Okay, and then okay, just to the size. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right here const, I'm going to, you can say, fetch that hamburger icon. So it's actually this one. So copy this thing. So I'm going to write here I'm going to write here bars is equals to I'm going to document dot query selector, and it's going to be this thing, right? And then right here const is going to be close document, and it's going to be this FAX mark. So I'm going to write here FAX mark, save this much of thing, right? And after this I'm going to, you can say, add the event listener to them. So I'm going to write here bars dot add event listener. The listener is going to be click, right? And then I'm going to use a fat arrow function just like this, and I'm going to write here nav bar, you can say, there is nav bar dot style dot width is going to be 240 pixels, just like this. And I'm going to replicate this thing. I'm going to change this bars to close. Okay, it's going to be close, and then I'm going to change, you can say, this to 0 simply, or 0 pixels, right? Now open, you can see, the browser, and you're going to find this thing. So one thing we can do at this point, open the index.css and just remove the padding from this part and add that padding to, you can say, to the UL. So just select the UL first and keep this padding to this, and then select, you can say, this close nav I. So select the close nav div, and then I'm going to paste the same padding to this also. Now open up the browser and you're going to find this thing. Now I think I have to give, you can say, a z index to this. So with that I'm going to give it a z index of 99. Save this much of thing. Now let's see, click on that, and then I'm getting that. Let's see what's going to be wrong with that. Open the index.js. So I have .js, index.js. Yeah, this bars, I am just selecting this in the bars, this index.js. Okay, you can say this is actually, you can say, an ID, so this should be a hashtag, right? Now it's working, right? I can see this thing. Now it's working actually. So actually, because of, you can say, this thing, because of, you can say, just remove this console.log from this point, because of, you can see, this hashtag, it was not working. Now it's working fine. Okay, now, okay, I'm going to, you can say, reduce this value, save this much of thing, and yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more thing. Okay, I'll go to the index.js. Okay, copy this thing. Right here it's going to be box shadow, just like this. It's going to be box shadow, and its value is going to be this one. So just copy this value and comment this line and come to this part, and I'm going to paste that at this point. Save, copy this line, paste at this point, and I'm going to just write here none simply, and you can see this thing. If I click on this, you can see this thing. Now if I click on this, it's just go inside there, right? So it is walking. So now just let me close this thing. Oh, actually we are actually at the time we are actually seeing the console of this website. That's why we are not getting that console.log, right? So this is, and right now, let's say now if I write here at this point, that is, I'm going to write here console.log bars or the nav bar or the close. Save this much of thing. Now at this point, where is that? You're going to find, you can say, these things, these three things, right? Now close this thing. We don't need, you can say, this console.logs right now anymore. Okay, so now we're going to, you can say, create, you can say, this part. So let's do this part right now. Now you can say, after this header part, I'm going to create, you can say, a div with a class of home content, right? And I'm going to give it a ID, okay, of home, just like that. And then inside this I'm going to create, you can say, that is dot home underscore content. Okay, going to be home underscore content, right? And inside this I'm going to have, you can say, one is text underscore container, and another is going to be the image container, right? Now inside, you can say, the text container, I'm having, you can say, an h1 tag, and then I'm going to write, you can say, this thing. So actually just copying and pasting the same thing, right? Because it is a simple text and nothing rocket science in this part. Paste this thing, right? Okay, now after this I'm going to, you can say, create a button, right? And I'm going to create a button, and inside this we have an anchor tag, and it's going to be hashtag services, right? And at this point, I'm going to write here see our services, just like this. Now come to this point, and you're going to see these things, right? Okay, and then I'm going to have an image at this point, right? So where is that at this point? So open the VS Code. Inside this I'm going to have an image. So right here img is going to be dot slash not slash images slash is going to be img1.jpg, and we're writing here simply img, and save this thing. Now you're going to find this thing, right? Now just let's write, you can say, the CSS. So open index.css part and just remove this line, right? And after, you can see this thing, I'm going to write, adding a comment at this point, that is responsive, or right here making responsive simply. And at this point I'm going to write here dot home. Inside this I am the dot home underscore content, right? And inside this I'm going to write here display to be flex, right? Save this thing, and let's see. Yeah, this looks really nice. Okay, right, and I'm gonna give it a width you can say of 100%, and height, you can say I'm going to give it a height of 100%, right? It's like this. And inside I'm going to replicate this thing. Okay, bring this thing at this point, and at the inside this I have, you can see dot text underscore container, and inside this thing I'm going to have, you can say I'm going to give it a width of, let's say it should be 70%, right? And then I'm going to have the display to be flex, justify content to be center, align items to be flex start, right? And then I think I have padding of 0,365 pixels, you can say from left and right, and then you can say I have a margin bottom of, it should be 40 pixels or 200, oh it is 200 pixels, right? So now save this much of thing now, and you can see this thing. Now one more thing I'm going to add, that is right here, color to be white, there is secondary, and then I'm going to write here flex direction is going to be column. Now let's see, and you're going to find this thing, right? Now copy this line, paste to this point. Instead I have an h1 tag, I'm going to give it a font size of, let's say it's going to be 40 pixels, save this kind of thing, and let's see, or let's increase the value to 55 pixels, and yeah, now it looks nice. Now I'm going to, you can say, select the image container first. So right here, image underscore container, and giving it a width of 30%, save this much of thing, and you can see this thing, right? Now you can see it fits really nicely right now. Okay, now I will be just, you can say, making this in a proper manner, but let's first create this part, right? So you can say I'm going to give it a line height, let's say it should be 62 or 72 pixels. Hope so. Yeah, now it looks nice. And then after that, you can say I have, you can say, a paragraph tag. Give it a color first. The color should be let me see the color code. It is actually this one. So just let me paste this thing. It's RGB 209, or you can just make it as this one. It is hashtag D1, right? Save this special thing, and you can see this thing, right? Now I'm going to give it a padding. I'm going to give it a padding of 10 pixels from top and bottom, and from left and right 0. You can see this thing, right? Now you can set this, and we have this button. So just copy this line. At this point, you can say inside, you can say the text container, I have, you can say, a button, right? And inside that button, you can say, first I'm going to give it a margin to this button, margin of, let's say, 13 pixels from top and bottom, and from left and right it should be 0, right? Now copy this line again, paste this line. Now inside this I have, you can say, an anchor tag, giving it a padding of 10 pixels, 30 pixels. Okay, padding of 10 pixels, 30 pixels. and I'm going to give it, you can say, a background color. The background color is going to be, let me see, the background color of this is going to be this color should be this one. You can say F1 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 B9, right? And then the color is going to be dash dash secondary. Save this much of thing and let's see. I was looking right now. You can see this thing. So I'm going to add, you can say, a font size. Font size should be 20 pixels, right? Text transform, it should be capitalized. Border radius, the border is going to be 30 pixels. Now let's see, you can see this thing. Now I'm going to give it, you can say, a hover effect. It's going to be hover, and I'm going to write here the, not the color but the background. The background is going to be dash dash tertiary. Save this with me. I'm going to give, you can say, a transition of all 0.3 seconds is, and you can see this thing. This looks really nice right now, right? Now we're going to, you can say, fix this image. Now copy this line, paste at this point. Now inside this I have, you can say, the image container, and then I have the img tag, giving it a width of 50%. Let's see, we're going to this that point. So give it, you can say, where's that image container? Find the image container first. So I'm going to Control X, pasting that at this point before this. Now I'm going to give it, you can say, deflex, justify content to be center, align items to be center, just like that. Okay, give it 100%. So it's going to be this much of size. So I think this should be 80%, I hope so. Yeah. Now I'm going to, you can say, give it a border radius of 10 pixels, box shadow of 0,0, 10 pixels, 5 pixels is going to be the RGB value again. So RGB 0,0,0, 0.1. Now let's see, you can see this thing. Now open it, and I'm going to give it a margin right of, let's say, 300 pixels, and I'm going to remove, you can say, this align this item center. It should be flex star instead, so that it will come at this point. Now so it should be at this point. So what I'm going to do is, so one thing I can do, I can just make it as flex center again. So what I'm going to do is, at this point I'm going to, you can say, just increase this value to, let's say, 650, and then I'm going to add, you can say, a margin bottom to this thing, margin bottom of 200 pixels. Save this with the thing, and you can see this thing. Yeah, now it looks really nice, right? So now we have to make this as responsive first. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to, you can say, select this particular thing, and so I'm going to replicate this thing. It should be let's say, it should be 1860 pixels, right? And then I'm going to, you can say, right here, home content text container h1. I'm going to give, you can say, the font size to be 45%, line height to be 60 pixels. So actually, as I have already written, you can say, the CSS once, So my GitHub Copilot is automatically recognizing the, you can say, the CSS, and it is auto completing that, right? So this is a nice feature that the GitHub Copilot provides us, right? Now open, you can say, this thing, and right click at this point, click on this inspect element, and let's see right now, click on this responsiveness. Okay, make this just like that and refresh the page first, and it comes like that. Refresh it again, click on this iPad. Now click on this responsive thing, and it comes just like this. So one thing we can do, let me increase the size of this, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can say, so what I'm going to reduce, you can say, the padding. So I'm going to write here padding of 0,265 pixels. Say this sort of thing, and let's see it right now, and you can find this thing, right? Now now after, you can say this, I'm going to, you can say, paste this thing, and you can say I'm going to, you can say, change the image, you can say, that is the margin right. So margin right, so it should be, I think, for right now 450 pixels, right? And let's see it right now, and you can see this thing. So this looks real nice, and then I'm going to, you can say, replicate this thing. I'm going to change this much of thing to 1460 pixels, and I'm going to, you can say, change this 265 pixels, this value to be, it should be same. I'm going to, you can say, reduce the size of this, so it's going to be 35. Okay, close this thing. This is going to be 35 pixels. Reducing the line height, it should be 50 pixels, and everything is going to be same. We're not going to change anything more, right? So I'm going to remove this much of thing, we don't need the thing. Okay, I'm going to remove this much of thing, save this much of thing. Now replicate this thing again, and then right here, this should be, is going to be 1160 pixels, and you know, I'm going to we can say copy this line again. I'm going to change the padding, so the padding is going to be 0,130 pixels. So actually I've already tried, you can say, the values of this, you can say, so that's why I'm just, you can directly copying their values, so that it will just save our time. And you can see this thing. Okay, just reduce the size, and you can see this thing. Okay, and copy this line, paste this, and I'm going to change it to image container, and then I have the img tag, and right here margin right, its value is going to be 250 pixels. And let's see it. Yeah, okay, and everything is going to be same. Okay, now after that much of thing, you can say I have and the breakpoint that is at 680 pixels, that is 860 pixels, not 680. So it's going to be at 860 pixels, and at this point you can say I'm going to reduce this value to 80 pixels, and I'm going to change this 35 to 25, and this value to 32, and then I have, you can say, I'm going to change this value, this image sort of value to 150, and then I'm going to reduce the size of, you can say, the paragraph tag. So replicate this line right here, p font size is going to be 13 pixels, and you can see this thing. So let's decrease this value, and you can see this thing. Also I'm going to reduce the value, you can size value of, you can say, this see our services. So click on this iPad Pro, and okay, I make it an iPad. I'm going to change the value of, you can say, see our services. So copy this line. I have, you can see, the button, anchor tag, padding is going to be 5 pixels comma 20 pixels, and then I have, you can say, the font size of this to be 15 pixels. Save nothing, and let's see. And you can see this thing, right? Click on this iPhone X. Now bring down and at this 660 pixels, what I'm going to do is I'm going to you can say take this content part, right, and after this point dot right here flex direction to be column, and then save this thing first, and then I'm right here padding of 30 pixels only, right, and so just make the padding first to be 0 pixels, 0 at this point, and then right here justify content to be flex start, and then I'm going to, you can say, add the margin bottom to be 0, right, and then after this dot home content, you can say I have the dot text container, and I'm going to give it a width of 100% and a padding of 30 pixels. Okay, padding of 30 pixels, just like this, and you can see the text legend is going to be center, just like this, right, and I'm going to write here justify content to be center, align items to be center, see this other thing, and I'm going to see this thing, right. Now copy this thing, paste at this point, is going to be image container, giving it a width of 100% and a padding of, you can see the padding of 30 pixels at this point. You can see this thing, and then you can see I'm going to reduce the margin bottom, so I'm going to write here margin bottom to be 0, and then I'm going to duplicate this thing, and then I'm going to change the image, and I'm going to, you can say, give it a width of 100%, and then margin right is going to be 0, and then I'm going to, you can see, give it a and everything is similar, right, I'm not doing anything. Save this much of thing, go to the browser, it's coming at this point, so it's container, okay, it's not container, remove this and from this point, save this much of thing, and let's see right now it's coming at this point. So I think this is because there's something at this point. This is text container, and just copy this text container. Inside this I have some margins. I'm going to reduce the margin to 0 first, and let's see. Yeah, it's coming up there, and then inside this I have, you can see, the button margin bottom to be 0, and I'm going to reduce the size, you can say, of that anchor tag. So I'm going to add, you can say, this thing, remove this thing, so it should be 13 pixels. Now let's see that point, and let's look at this like this. Okay, and I'm giving it a padding, so I'm going to write here padding from top and bottom, it should be 0, and you can see this thing, right? And the same thing I'm going to do with, you can say, this thing also. Right here, add a 0 at this point, so that now let's see, yeah, now it's coming just like this. I'm going to, you can say, add a margin to my bottom. I'm going to add a margin of 20 pixels, and let's see right now. Yeah, now it looks real nice, right? So let's increase this value to 30 pixels, and you can see this thing. So we have finally made it responsive. Just, you can see this thing. Click on this, it just shows this thing. If I click on this, it just gets hidden, right? So we have finally created, you can say, our home page. Now we're going to create, you can say, the cards, that services page at this point. So close this first at this point, right? And just open this thing, and you can say, after, you can say, this section at this point, let's stop with this navigation, but I'm going to create a section, and I'm going to give it a class of services. It's going to be, and it's going to be pretty much very simple, right? So inside this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a first ID of services. Okay, it should be equals to, ID is equals to services, and then I'm going to create, you can say, a card at this point, card. And if you'll see at this point, you can say we have, you can say, an image, you can see a heading and a paragraph and an icon at this point. So let's create that one. So it's going to be card, and inside this card I have, you can say, an image in dot slash images is going to be source.png, and then after that I have, you can say, an h1 tag, and let's copy the text from at this point. It's easy to search, paste that. Then I have a paragraph tag at this point, copy this text, paste at this point, right? And then I have, you can say, a button at this point, this BUTT1 button, and anchor tag inside this button. This hashtag for right now, and I'm going to use, you can say, that arrow icon. So go to font awesome at this point, close this one, search for as arrow, and you're going to find, you can say, this arrow. Click on this arrow, copy this thing, and come to this part, paste that at this point, save this much of thing, right? Now you can see all these things at this point, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do is just, you can see, open the CSS part. So just go above this responsive much of thing at this point. Okay, I'll be creating the services section at this point, adding comment this services dot services, giving it a width of, you can say, 100%, and then I'm going to, you can say, make the display as flex. Justify content is going to be center, and then I'm going to write here align items is going to be center, and then I'm going to do padding of 30 pixels from all around, padding of 30 pixels from all around, right? Save this much of thing, and dot services. Inside this I have used dot card, so I'm going to give it a width of 300 pixels, and then I'm going to give it a height of 310 pixels. Overflow is going to be hidden, right? Now I'm going to give it a padding of 40 pixels comma 30 pixels, right? And I'm going to, you can say, give it a background color. So the background color is going to be dash secondary, and then I'm going to, you can say, I'm going to give and I'm going to give, you can say, a box shadow. So box shadow is going to be 0,0, 10 pixels, 5 pixels, RGB, the same values. See this much of thing at this point, and you can see this thing, right? Now copy this line. Now what I'm going to do is, inside this you can say, I have the image, giving it a width of, let's say, 35 pixels. Okay, this pixels, right? And I'm going to give it a margin bottom of, let's say, 10 pixels. Save this much of thing. Go to the browser. Let's see. Again, you see this thing, right? Now one more thing I have to add at this point, that is, this should be flex wrap, so that you can say it will just make it as responsive. When you can say the website will shrink, the boxes will come one after another, right? And I'm going to give margin to my cards so that they do not get close to each other much more, right? So make it as, let's say, 20 pixels. Save this much of thing. Now copy this line. Now inside this I have an h1 tag. I'm going to give it a font size. Font size should be let me see, the font size should be 18 pixels, and then I'm going to give it, you can say, a font weight of 500. See this thing, and you can see this thing. Now after that you can say I have the paragraph tag, so I'm going to, you can say, change the CSS of the paragraph. So it's going to be font weight, it's going to be 500, and then I'm going to have font size of 13 pixels, and you can see this thing. So I can make it as 14 pixels. Okay, and I'm going to give it, you can say, a padding of 10 pixels from top and bottom. From left and right it should be 0, and you can see this thing. And then I can just change the color. So the color is going to be this much of 60 60 60. Save this much of thing. Now go to the, you can see this browser, and it's going to be normal like this. And then what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to design, you can say, this, you can say, this button. So copy this line, right? And inside this I have, you can say, a button. Okay, I'm going to give it a margin of 10 pixels from top and bottom. I can do it like this, and then copy this line, paste it at this point. Inside this I'm going to have, you can say, an anchor tag. So I'm going to give it a color of I'm going to give it a color of dash secondary. I can see this thing. Now it's going to be white color. I'm going to give it a background color. It's going to be DE. Save this much of thing, and you can see this thing. I'm going to, you can say, I'm going to give it a padding of 10 pixels comma 20 pixels. 20 pixels should be 12 pixels. It's going to be 12 pixels is enough. I'm going to give, you can say, a border radius of 50%. Right, save this much thing and let's see. And you can see this thing. I'm going to increase the font size. So the font size is going to be 25 pixels. Save this much thing. This is going to be much more in size. So maybe it's 20 pixels. Yeah, now it looks nice. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, you can see, a hover effect to my card. So just copy this much of thing, this much of card, paste it at this point, remove this button and everything, and I'm going to use that after the zero selector, just like this, and I'm going to, you can say, give it a position to this card of relative. Position is going to be relative. Now come to this point, content is going to be blank, position is going to be absolute, and then from top is going to be 0, from left it's going to be 0, and I'm going to give it a width of 100%, height of 2 pixels. I'm going to give it a background color of dash primary. Save this much of thing and let's see, and you can see this thing. I'm going to give it a transition of all 0.3 seconds each, and you can see this thing, right? And I'm going to copy this thing and make this width to 0. Paste at this point, right here, hover, give it a width of 100%. Save this much of thing, and you can see this thing. Okay, it is dot services, and you can see this thing. Make it as 0.4 seconds so that it will look more nice, right? Okay, we can just remove, you can see, this font size from this font. Yeah, now one more thing I'm going to add is I'm going to, you can copy this much of thing, paste at this point. I'm going to right here hover. When I'm hovering, you can say, when I'm hovering over, you can say, that card, I have the button inside that. So I'm going to change the background color of that button to primary, not the color, the background color. Save this with the thing. Now you can see this thing, and again you can say add a transition to this, transition of all 0.3 seconds each. Save this with the thing, and you can see this thing. Copy this transition. Where's that anchor tag? I can just put the transition at this point also. Save this with the thing, and you can see this thing, right? Okay, now copy this much of div 4 times. Save this much of thing, and 3, 2, 1, boom, you can see this thing. We have 4 cards at this point, just like this, right? And if I right click at this point, click on this inspect, and it is fully responsive because we are using flexbox with the flex wrap function that it provides. And you can see these things, it's fully responsive, right? Now one thing I can do at this point is I can increase their height to some extent. where's that card? I can just add at this point. Where is that height? At this point is min dash height, so that it will take the minimum height to be the minimum height is going to be 310 pixels, and it can be more if it wants, if it is needed, right? And you can see this thing. Yeah, cool, right? Now we have finally completed, you can see this part also. Now we're going to create, you can see this about us page, and then we are going to create this pricing plans, right? Now let's create it, right? So first I'm going to, you can say, close this thing like that, and you can say after creating the about section, I'm going to create, you can say, this part, right? You can say this thing, the scroll effect, right? So I'm going to do that after, you can say, creating the about section, right? Now at this point I'm going to create another section, and I'm going to giving it a class of about, an ID of about. Hit enter. And inside this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can say, have an h1 that is about, right? And then going to be about us, and then I'm going to have, you can say, there is a paragraph tag, and I'm just copying the same text from this much of thing, and then I'm going to create the button, right? And the button inside this, what I'm going to create the class of about underscore btn, and I'm going to have, you can say, an anchor tag. Right now it's going to be hashtag, and should we get started. Save this much of thing and open, you can see this thing. I'm going to find this thing. Now at this point I'm going to write here adding a comment of about dot about, giving it a width of 100% and a height of, okay, I'm going to give it a height, you can say make it as 50 vh. Save this much of thing, giving it a background, so I will be using linear gradient, linear dash gradient RGBA value, okay, and it's going to be 90 degree, and then I'm going to give the color values. So I'm just copying the color values, so this is the color values, just like that. Give a comma right here, URL, and it's going to be, here is going to be dot backslash images, and I'm going to use, you can say, this image, I hope so, not space rocket, yes, I hope so, about.jpg. Save this much of thing, and I write here no repeat, right, and going to be top, right, and giving it a background size of cover, and then save this much of thing, and you can see this thing. I'm going to put all these things at the center, so right here display flex, and then I'm going to write here, okay, display flex, then I'm going to write here justify content, it's going to be center, align items is going to be center, see this kind of thing, and you're going to find this thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to write here flex direction is going to be column, and then color is going to be dash secondary, see this kind of thing, and you can see these things, and right here text align to be center, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to write here dot about h1, font weight is going to be normal, right? Font size is going to be 35 pixels, just like this. I have that paragraph dot about, and inside this I have the paragraph tag, giving it a color of hashtag d1, and then font size of 13 pixels, and then I'm going to give it a font weight of normal. See this sort of thing, and you can see this thing. Okay, right here dot about, inside this I have, you can say I have a button, right? I'm going to give it a margin of 20 pixels comma 0, just like that. I'm going to give it a to this about a padding of 30 pixels for safety purposes, and then copy this line, paste this thing. I have an anchor tag, and I'm going to write here the background is going to be dash secondary, and then the color is going to be the primary color dash primary. Save this much of thing. I'm going to be secondary color, and you can find this thing. Now I'm going to give it a font size of 20 pixels. Text transform, so the text transform is going to be capitalized, and then say this much of thing. I'm going to give it a padding of 10 pixels comma 30 pixels. I'm going to give it a border radius of, let's say it should be, I hope so, 30 pixels or 10 pixels, maybe just 10 pixels, right? Where is that? Just like this. I can just reduce, you just remove this font size from this point and say this with the thing, and then just change the color to black, and then I'm going to, you can say the font weight is going to be, I hope so, 600, like this. Yeah, now I'm going to add, you can say, the hover effect. Paste this much of thing right here, hover, the color is going to be just a secondary, and then I'm going to give the background to be black. I'm going to add a transition to this, so transition should be all 0.3 seconds ease, and you can see this thing. So I'm going to increase, you can see this button, just make it as 40 pixels, like that. And for safety purposes I'm going to use the min height of this thing. You can see this thing, right? And it is purely responsive. Just right click at this point, click on this inspect element, and you're going to find this thing. Click on this iPhone X, and you're going to find this thing, right? It's really nice. Now I'm going to show you how can you create, you can say, this much of part, this header, you can say how can you turn this header to white on scrolling, right? So let's do that first. Close this one. So go to the index.js part. You can say at this point, first you can say I'm going to write here window dot add event listener, and the listener is going to be scroll. Okay, and then I'm going to create a federal function at this point, just like this. Okay, I'm going to get the const variable. I'm going to fetch, you can say, the header. So header is going to be document dot query selector. That is actually header, just like this. And then I'm right here, you can say I'm going to just add a class list. So I'm going to write here header dot class list. I'm going to add a class list dot toggle. So I'm just going to toggle this class list. Now it's going to be I'm going to, you can say, add a class to this point. So the class is going to be dot scrolling dash active, and I'm going to write the condition. So the condition is going to be window dot scroll y is greater than 0. So if it is greater than 0, this means when I'm, you can say, open this thing, when I'm just scrolling this thing, you can see this thing just like this. When its value becomes the scroll y, the y value becomes greater than 0, and it changes its CSS, right? Actually it adds, you can say, that class to it. So let's create this class, copy this thing, go to the index.css, to top of these things. So you can say after, you can say, this button, at this point I'm going to add this class, and it's going to be background, it's going to be as a secondary, and then the colors. Okay, so I'm going right here, I'm going to replicate this thing, color, the anchor tag inside this. The color is going to be hashtag 000. This is black color. And then I'm going to, you can say, add a transition to this active class, transition of all 0.4 seconds is. Save this much of thing. Now let's see, and you can see this point. Okay, I'm going to add, you can say, also the position to be fixed, position to be fixed. And let's see right now. So the class is not yet added. Let's see what's going to be wrong with that. Okay, now the reason is I have, you can say, added, you can say, dot at this point. So remove this dot from this point, and now it should work. Okay, it's coming just like this. So go to the index.css, and where is it, find that header part. So at this point I'm going to give it a width of 100%, just like this. Here is width, save this with thing, and let's see, and find all these things. Now I have to, you can say, add that color. So, and I'm going to, you can say, add an important to this thing, and let's see right now. Yeah, now after adding, you can see this important, it's working, right? Now why it was not working earlier, the reason is we have to define this thing, you can say, after this header part, right? So let's say after this home, I'm just defining it after this home at this point. Now if I remove this important event, then now it's also going to work, and you can see this thing just working. So the CSS gives priority to the lower ones, right? So that's why we have to define these things at the below, you can say that is header, right? save this much of thing, and then this is really nice, right? Right click at this point, click on this inspect element, and you can see this thing. Okay, you can say it's changing the color of the icons, but I have to also change the colors of the icons also. So right here, just remove this eye, and now let's see. You can see this thing. Click on this, click on this. Really crazy, right? So so I've added, you can see the transition to this also. I can also add the transition to my header. Where's that header? Home header, where are you? Home header. Add the transition to this also. Now let's see this thing. So now you can just change this 5 seconds to 3 seconds, and this also to 3 seconds. It's going to look nice at 3 seconds, right? Yeah, looks really nice. Now you can see it's coming over that, so I can just give it a Z index to my header. So I'm going to give it a Z index to this header. Z index of 98, this sort of thing, and you can see this thing. Yeah, now this works really nice. Now we're going to create, you can say, the pricing plans, this thing, and then finally the contact, this footer part, right? So we're going to create this pricing plans right now, right? So after this section, I'm going to write here section with a class of pricing with a, you can say, ID of also pricing, and inside this I have a card of H1, so I'm going to write here pricing plans, and then after that I have a div with a class of cards, and inside this I'm going to create a, you can say, plan card. So going to be plan underscore card. It is going to first have an h4 tag, right? Or you can just write here an h2 tag, right here free, and then I have an, you can say, hr tag after that, and then I have, you can say, an h1 tag. Okay, and it has written, you can say, $0, give a space. Okay, right here span, give the space, right here month, just like that. And then I have a paragraph tag at this point, and it says the same thing. Just copy the text from the website, or you can from the source code even, right? Just like that. And then I have, you can say, UL with an li, and just go to, you can say, font awesome, and search for tick at this point. Right here, tick. I'm going to click on this check, copy this thing, come to this point, paste this, and just, you can say, write the text that it contains, just like this. See this thing, go to the browser at this point, and you're going to find this thing. So I want 3 you can say, check marks at this point, so 3 LIs. So I'm going to copy the 3 LIs, everything is same, the, you can say, the you can say everything is, syntax is same. You can see these things, realize I have a span element inside the span. Okay, I have to add a span element at this point that I was forgetting. So now where we are using the span element, the answer is pretty much simple. We have to change the color of only, you can say, of this, you can say, this check button, like that. Right now I'm going to, you can say, add a class to this thing. Class is going to be pricing underscore 1, just like this. I'm going to, you can say, add, you can say, after this UL I'm going to create a button, right? So first I'm going to create a, not a button, but at this point I'm going to create, you can say, a div with a class of plan underscore btn, and I'm going to add another class that is first underscore plan underscore btn, right? And right here I'm going to write here an anchor tag, hashtag for right now, and you can say right here get started. So just save this much of thing. Now go to the browser and let's see. Okay, now so what I'm going to do is at this point just open the VS Code. Where is that? I'm going to select, you can say, the pricing part first. So we have to do this about, you can see, at this point it's going to be pricing dot pricing is going to be width of 100%, right? And then I'm going to do, you can have a minimum height of 50 ph. Okay, just give the semicolon at this point right here. Mean height is going to be 60 ph. And then right here text legend to be center, padding of 30 pixels from all around. Right, and inside this I can say I have a h2 tag, not h2 tag, I have an h1 tag. I'm going to write here font weight to be 500 and font size to be 35 pixels, like that. And then right here text transform is going to be capitalized, and you can see this thing, pricing plans. Okay, and then I have this card. So right here dot pricing, I have dot cards. Right here display to be flex, and then justify content to be center, line items to be center, and then flex type is going to wrap, obviously, and then copy this line, and then copy this line, bring this line at this point, and instead I have dot plan underscore card, giving it a width, you can say it's going to be 330 pixels, and I'm going to write here min dash height. Minimum height is going to be 500 pixels, and then I'm going to, you can say, add a background for this. The background is going to be dash dash secondary, and then I'm going to write here padding of 30 pixels, right, and I'm going to give it a margin of 30 pixels all around. Now let's see, and you can see this thing. I'm going to add a box shadow effect to this, so right here box shadow 0, 0, 10 pixels, 5 pixels, and this one, and you can see this thing. So copy this line. I have, you can say, an h2 tag inside this, so text align to be center, and then I have, you can say, a padding of bottom 10 pixels. See this much of thing, and you can see this thing, and then I have, you can see, the HR tag after this. So right here border, give the border to be none, then border dash top is going to be 1 pixels, solid is going to be hashtag ECEC. Save this much of thing, and you can see this thing. It looks really nice, right? And after this we have this h1 tag. Copy this line. I have an h1 tag inside that, and I'm going to give it a, I'm going to give it a font weight of 700, and then I'm going to give it a text transform capitalize, and then I'm going to give it a text align to be center, and you can see this thing, right? Copy this thing. Inside this h1 I have a span element, right? Inside this I have the span element. I'm going to give it a font size of 14 pixels, and then the color is going to be hashtag CB, and you're going to find this thing at this point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to write here font weight is going to be normal, just like this. Then I have this thing, so I can give it padding of 30 pixels from top and bottom. Not to the span element but to the h1, and you can see this thing. So I can increase this to 40 pixels. Going to color, you can say, but before coloring that I want to change, you can say, the paragraph tag first. So I'm going to write here it's going to be P. I'm going to give it a color, not a color, I'm going to give it a font size, right? So font size of 13 pixels, giving it, you can say, our text align is going to be center, and then I'm going to give it a font weight of normal. Now after that, you can inside, after you can say this, inside this plan card I have, you can say the UL and then LI, and then I have, you can say, this icons inside them. So I'm going to give, you can see them a color of the color of green. So it's going to be, so the color is going to be green, just like that. I'm going to give it a, I'm going to give it a letter spacing, let's see, letter spacing of 30 pixels. I can see these things, and it's going to just, now one thing I've just removed from this point, I'm going to remove this text like center from that point, and I'm going to place it at this point. Now you can see this thing, and it looks just like this, right? And I'm going to reduce the letter spacing of this to 10 pixels. Actually, I think I should write here span better than that, and remove this I from this point. And you can see these things. Now I'm going to reduce the size of these things. So copy this much up here, paste it at this point, giving it a font size of 13 pixels. So 13 pixels font size, the browser, and let's see it. Yeah, now I think I should increase this to 14 pixels. Yeah, okay. And where is that? Yeah, UL, copy this much of thing, paste it. I'm going to give it a not this much of thing, but I can just simply give it a margin bottom to this of 30 pixels. You can see this thing, right? Now I'm going to create this button. So copy this thing, copy this much of thing, and after this, at this point, right here, it's not a, it's going to be actually a div of len_btn, and then it's going to be, I have, you can say, an anchor tag inside this. Give it a padding of you can say 10 pixels, 30 pixels. Background is going to be, now the background color we are going to set using this here, this class. So for right now, just leave it as it is. Right here, letter spacing of 5 pixels. Save this sort of thing, right? Text align to center. Okay, I can just right here, text in center. You can see this thing. Now just remove this text center from this point. Okay, text transform, that's going to be uppercase. Save this project thing. Now the font size that I want is font size of 13 pixels, and I want, you can say, a transition of all 0.3 seconds. Please. Now I'm going to using this transition to, you can say, when I will be using the hover effect, this is going to give it a smooth hover effect, right? Now I want, you can say, some margin top 30 pixels. I will increase this to 40 pixels, just like this. I'm going to give it a border radius of 30 pixels. Right, save this thing. Now I'll be using this class, so copy this much of thing, paste it. Now it's going to be first underscore plan bdna. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can say, give it a background of primary color. I'm going to give it a, so I'm going to give it a background of this one, right? And then I'm going to give it a color of green. Save this much thing, open it, and you can see this thing. And I'm going to, you can say, add a hover effect to that. Hover. So its background is going to be hashtag this one, and then I'm going to give the color of white. So dash secondary. And you can see this thing, right? I'm going to change the color of this 0. So at this point I'm right here, dot first, going to be dot first underscore pricing, and I'm going to give it a color of this one. This is the color 0B900. It's a green type of color. So this pricing, or it is pricing 1, not pricing, not it is first pricing, it is pricing 1. So paste the exact class, and you can see this thing. So in a similar way I'm going to create more cards, but before that, where is that, I am going to find that each one on this each one I'm going to give it a padding of 30 pieces of top and bottom, left and right 0. Save this with the thing. You can see this thing. Now I'm going to, you can say, copy this card 2 more times, and I'm going to change this to 2, and I'm going to change, you can say, this first to second, right? And this is going to be the third one, and this is going to be 3. Save this project thing. So I'm going to, you can say, where is that, pricing 2. So come down, replicate this 2 times, change this to this one, and this to 3, and change the color of that second one first. So it's going to be this one, and then I'm going to change the color of the third one paste this. You can see this thing. Now I'm going to change even these things. So replicate these things 2 more times. Is going to be, and this is going to be second, right? And I'm going to change the colors. So this is going to be the color for this. You can see the RGB values of these colors, right? And then the similar way I'm going to change the hover effect colors in background. So just paste this, save this much of thing. So make sure you're writing, you can see the correct exact spelling, you can see exact values of this, or if you want you can just change the values, you can try yourself, right? Just like this. And then why is that? I want to change this and this going to be third. Remove this F from this point, and then actually just going to and copy and pasting everything. It's pretty much very simple, right? These are going to be, you can say, the background color and the hover colors, right? Save this much of thing and you can see this thing. Now I'm going to change the values of this thing and these things. So this is going to be standard, right? And this is going to be advanced. Right? I'm going to change the values of this. This actually is 19 point, suppose 2. I can just write any values you want. Let me show that it's 19.5. So you can just make it 19.2 or 5. It is up to you. And then it's, I hope so, 112.79. Save this much of thing. And let's see. Yes, we have changed the values, and let's see. Yeah, you can see these things. So we have created the cards. Now let's see if it is responsive or not. And you can see these things. Everything is super responsive. So I'm going to give, you can say, some. So I'm going to first, you can say, well, go to that pricing and just remove that height from that point. So where is that? From this point, remove this thing, and then where is that? Cards. Give it a width of 100%. Now just at this point you can see these things. Now I want some, you can say, margin. You can say we have given margin, right? It's not margin, right? It's simply margin. Save this much of thing, and let's see. And you can see these things. So this should be margin, right? And increase their width to 350 pixels. Let's see. Okay. Reduce the margin to 20 pixels, and yeah, now it's working right. So give it a min height of 500 pixels, everything is fine. Give it a 510 pixels of height, 520. Yeah, now it looks nice, right? And now we are going to, you can say, create our this footer section, right? Let's do that. So let's create the, you can say, this footer section. So after this section, I'm going to create a section with a class of contact and an ID of contact. And what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to copy this thing and come to this part, and at this point dot contact, I'm adding a comment that is contact footer. So contact, giving it a width of 100%, and then I'm going to give, you can say, a height, mean height of 50 bh, and you can see the things like this. Okay, close this thing first. Okay, giving it a background color of dash primary, and you can see this thing, right? And then after that, inside this I'm going to create a div with a class of upper underscore footer, and another is going to be lower footer. So inside this I'm going to write here, I'm going to create 3 divs. And I'm going to give it a class of 1, and this to class of 2, and I'm going to give it a class of 3, right? Inside this one, you can say I have an h4 tag which says about foundation, and then I have, you can see, a paragraph tag, right, which says far away, so that's a simple text. Then h5 which says connect, and then I have, you can say, a div of icons, right, and I have, you can say, 5 icons at this point, social icons. So essentially this, you can find these icons from, you can say, the font awesome, right? Okay, and you can see these things. Now after this, at this point I'm going to create another div. Inside this you can say this number 2 div, I'm going to write here the contact details. I'm going to provide the contact details at this point. So going to be contact detail, I'm providing an h3 at this point, and then I have a UL tag. You can see at this point we have, you can say, these details, so I can just put this inside the UL and li tags. So right here li, and you can put those values. I'm just directly copying and pasting because there's nothing in this much of part, there's simple text. You can see this much of thing, right? Okay, now in the third part, at this point I'm going to create a form. Action is going to be hashtag for right now. Inside this I'm going to create an input tag. Type will be email, placeholder, the placeholder is going to be enter your email, and then at this point, before this form, I'm going to write here an h, you can say an h3 tag right here, get latest updates, and then I'm going to, you can set a button of type of submit, and I'm going to, you can say, add, you can say the same arrow icon that we have added, you can say in our, you can see, that previous card, the services page of cards, we have added that arrow button. I'm going to add the same arrow button at this point and save this much of thing. Now just come to this point, I'm going to find all these things, right? So we'll give the color to be white. So right here color is going to be dash secondary, See this major thing. You can see these things. Then I have dot contact. As I have, you can say, the upper footer. Okay, upper footer. Display is going to be flex. I can give it a width of 100% like this, and then I'm going to write here flex wrap is going to be wrap, and then I'm going to, you can say, right here justify content to be center, align items to be, I can make the line items to be like start, so that they will be at the top of the position. You can see at this point you can see they are all aligned, you can say, at the top, you can see at one level. That is because of that flex start, and I want this to be space around, right, so that it will just look like this. And let's see it, you can see this thing, and I'm going to define some width to them. So at this point I write here dot contact dot upper footer dot 1, give it a width. I'm going to give it a width of 400 pixels. Save this thing and let's see. You can see this thing. So I'm going to give the same thing, give the comma, and this thing, you know, the GitHub Copilot makes everything very simple, right? You don't have to write so much, right? You can see these things. Now I'm going to give it some padding. So let's say I'm padding of 50 pixels, 30 pixels, right? So just you can say add this padding to this thing, and you can see this thing, the same goes. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can say, increase the, you can say, font size of this thing, so that it should look like this. I'm going to give some padding to this, and I'm going to reduce the font size of this. So let's do that. So I have this one. Okay, one I have, you can say, an h4 tag font size. So its font size is going to be 20 pixels. I'm going to give it a, I'm going to give it a padding of 10 pixels, 0. So from top and bottom I'm giving it a 10 pixels padding, and from left and right is 0, right? Then copy this thing. I have that paragraph tag, give it a color, and the color is going to be this one, yeah. And then I'm going to give it a font weight of normal, font size, so I'm going to make its font size to be 14 pixels. You can see this thing. Okay, now copy this thing, and after that I have, you can say, a h3 tag. So it's not h3, it is h5 tag. So I tell h5 and just right here font size of, let's say, 20 pixels. Let's see, yeah, make it as 22 pixels. Yeah, that's nice. And then giving it a padding of 10 pixels, 0. You can see these things. Now we're going to create, you can say, the icons part. So inside this one we have, you can say, the icons. So it's going to be dot icons. Inside the dot icons we have I. So cursor is going to be pointer, and I'm going to give it a width of 60 pixels, height of, not height and width, I'm going to give it a padding. I'm going to give them a padding, so directly giving the padding will solve the issue. So padding is going to be 10 pixels. Background, now the background is going to be dash secondary. Save the thing. So we have to just save, you can say save it, and you can see these things. I'm going to give it a color, so the color should be black, not black, it should be primary, I hope so. Let me see, yeah, it's primary. So you can see this thing. I'm going to give them a margin, so the margin is going to be margin right, so margin right of 10 pixels, and margin top is going to also be 10 pixels, and border radius is going to be 50%, so that it will become a rounded shape, 50%. And you can see this thing. I'm going to give them some transitions so that we can use the hover effects and it will move smoothly, because we are going to rotate that very smoothly. So transition of all 0.3 seconds is right. Copy this much of thing and paste that at this point. Okay, copy this line, paste it at this point, and at this point I'm right here over, and I'm then right here give the background color of black, and then color is going to be white. Alright, here there's a secondary. Now transform, right here rotate 360 degree, and let's see right now, and you can see these things, really awesome. Now we are going to create this thing. Copy this much of thing, paste this at this point, is 2, and inside that 2, I have h3 tag. I'm going to give it a font size of, I'm going to give it a font weight of 600, and then padding of 10 pixels from top and bottom, and 0 pixels from left and right. It look like this, and then I have this thing. So copy this thing. I have the UL, then LI. I'm going to give it, you can say, a margin, right? Margin of 10 pixels from top and bottom, from left and right 0. And then I'm going to give them a color. Okay, let's say D1 this color. You can see this thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can say, make this form. So copy this line, paste it at this point, right here 3, and inside this 3 I have this h3. Okay, font weight 600 pixels, padding 10 pixels, everything is fine. Now make this as normal. I want to be normal. And then let's see how it's looking. Okay, it's 3. Yeah, it's not H3, H1, and you can see the things, right? But it should be an H3 tag. I hope so, right? I should make this as H3 because I don't need you can say that much big text at this point. If you come to this one, you can see this things. So it's going to be an H3 tag, just like this. H3. Save this one, and let's see. Yeah. Now I'm going to create, you can see this form. So at this point I'm going to write here form, give it a width of 100%, and then background is going to be hashtag F1F1, right? And then I have, you can say that input tag. So I'm making the input as width of 100%, and then giving it a padding of 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Make it like this. Right here, border none. Outline is going to be none, just like that. And I'm going to make this form as display flex. See this much of thing, and you can see this thing. Now I'm just going to copy this line, paste it at this point, and I have, you can say, a button. Inside that button I have, you can say, an eye. I'm going to write here cursor to be pointer, and then padding of 11 pixels, 20 pixels. See this much of thing. You can see this thing. I can give it a background color of dash tertiary, and you can see this thing. It looks like this. So I can increase this padding to 13 pixels. Yeah. And I can add right at this point. Where's that form? I can add justify content to be center, align items to be center. Now I can see this thing. Now I can make this as 15 pixels, and you can see this thing. Now it perfectly fits over at this point. So I can increase, you can see, the font size. So font size is going to be 20 pixels. See this much of thing. Let's see. So 20 pixels, you can see this thing. Right, and then I'm going to remove this color from this point, and you can see this thing. Now I can reduce this to 12 pixels. Let's say 10 pixels. Okay, yeah, now it looks really nice. You can see this thing. And I'm going to add one more field at this point. Where is that input tag? At this point, required. See this thing. As this is going to, you can say, if I try to submit this form right now, you can see this message, right? So I can write here test @gmail.com. Then if I click on this, it will just submit it, right? Yeah. Now we're going to, you can say, write this line. So copy this text first and paste it at this point directly, and just remove this heart from this point and this sign right here, and copy just like this. And now I'm going to, you can say, show you the code of that heart. So right here, and hashtag 128151, give the semicolon, save this much of thing, and go to the website. You can see your website, and at this point you can see this thing. Now I can just make the text as center. So copy this. I have dot contact this thing dot lower footer text align center, padding of 30 pixels all around, and you can see this thing at this point. Now I want to, you can say, remove that heart. You can, not that heart, I want to remove that height, right? So go to the contact part and remove this height from this point, just like this. Yeah, you can see this thing, and this is really nice, right? And it's full responsive. Let me show you. Click on this inspect element, and you can see these things. You can see the things. It's full responsive, right? So we have finally completed our, you can say, website. Now I'm going to show you how can you host this site on Netlify, right? So just, you can say, search for Netlify on the site, right? I will provide you the link in the description box. Click on that and just log in, sign in, create your account, and link, you can say, and if you have your GitHub account, then link your GitHub account to this part, right? Now first we're going to, you can say, push this project to our GitHub. So I'm going right here, I'm just going to open my GitHub, and I will be providing you the source code of this that I have written just right now, and the source code of this project that I have written previously, right? So both source code will be available to you. You don't have to worry anything, right? So you just open up your GitHub, and then I'm going to create, you can say, a new repository at this point. And then let's say I'm writing here great work. It's going to be great work, right? And then writing here, this is a simple static beautiful, okay, simple, not simple, simple static beautiful website template, you know, built with, okay, built with template, built with HTML, okay, CSS and JS. Okay, I'm making this public because I have to give you the source code, right? Now just create the repository and open, you can say, this project. Okay, close these things, close this also, close this also, and you can see the folder structure at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can say, open up the terminal by pressing, you can see, your control and backtick. You can just create, you can open up your new terminal, or by control plus J, right? There are two keys, control plus J or control plus backtick, or you can just manually click on this terminal and you can create a new terminal from this point. So right here CLS, yeah, right here git add -a, what I have to initialize it. So right here git init, hit enter, right here git add -a, right here git commit, going to be commit, git commit, okay, so git commit dash m is going to be the initial commit, right, hit enter. Now copy this remote origin, right, paste that at this point, hit enter, and then right here git push origin master, give the space at this point, hit enter. Now it's going to push all the code to our GitHub. Now till then, just open, you can say, your Netlify, and at this point we are going to create, you can say, add a new site. So add a new site, click on this. I'm going to click on this, import an existing project. So I'm going to, you can say, link my GitHub from this point. So let's see, refresh this page, it is over, yeah, that's over. Refresh that point and let's see, and you can find, you can see this thing at this point. Right, now click on this GitHub, and if you have enjoyed this video, if you have created this project with me, then make sure you are subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and commenting me down that how you do like the project or not, right? I want your reviews, right, because that's because reviews make me motivate to create more better videos, right? So such repos is going to be great work. Let's see, click on this, it's not get work, it should be great work. No, I want to just figure out that it should be great work. Just refresh the page so that you can just find that thing, this great work. Click on this GitHub, I will search for the great work. And it's not showing me that, I don't know why it's not showing me. Okay, click on this. Start from a template, deploy manually. So start from a template or deploy manually. I can drag and drop, you can say, my project folder. So I will just open this thing, go back, I'll just go back again, and I'm going to just drag and drop this thing. So just put that at this point, just like this. It is another method, right? So we will be deploying this in this way, and you can see this at this point my site has been, or I can say it has been deployed. I just click on this link, right, and you can see this, our site is live right now. The great work is live right now at this, you can say, at this domain, right, and it is full responsive. Let me right click at this point and show you everything. And you can see this thing, this is working fine. If I just, you can see this thing, everything is, you know, everything is working pretty much very fine. You can just go and open it on your phone and you can check it, right? That would be a better option for you. And let me just close these things, and you can see these things. Click on the services, you bring the services, about section, pricing section, and the contact section. Everything is super. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will see you next time in the video.